Carlene, one of the insights we've got here is, we recommend taking what we call an outside-in approach. What does that mean?
But when you start from the outside, looking at from customer's perspective, what is it that I want to experience? What are all of the different touch points and milestones that I have, or where I'm interacting with your organization? And really start to think about, what would a great experience be? I like to do this completely abstracted from my own organization. So I'm like, if I was going to the fair, what would that look like for me? Or do I want to go to Disney, or do I want to go to the county fair? What's the difference between that service experience and what my expectations are, right? And then how do I define what the best possible experience would be, what all the touch points are? And then it gives you that creativity to think a little bit differently about your internal services as well.
Got it. So it's all about putting yourself in the shoes of your customer, in the shoes of someone that's interacting with your organization.
Yeah, which isn't new from a customer experience or customer engagement perspective. But a lot of times we've thought of our customer as, just other people in the organization. So that's really the shift, is taking that a step further, practicing things you probably have been doing internally, but
Right.
taking it to that next level.
For most, IT shops, this is probably, a couple of steps outside of their comfort zone. When people are putting this into practice, is it something, again, we use the word orchestrator, is it something that they're kind of taking the lead on and doing in, a silo, or are we seeing them partnering with other, parts of the organization to, get to know their customers better? What does that typically look like?
So I think it's both, right? We see different forms of this in terms of how ready people are to really go on that journey, right? But people who are ready and are really interested in this, or their industry is forcing them to go in that direction, typically early partnerships that we see tend to connect to either your marketing groups, because they tend to have a lot more digital experiences that are associated. So true partnership around those core elements. We see people looking at, if you have a product division within your organization, or critical business services that are offered to the end customer, figuring out who those groups are first, figuring out what their most important services are. For us, we actually pull back to what your business architecture is. What are the business capabilities? What are the most important ones? Mapping all the way through to see how they're all connected as well, and then starting to focus on those value chains and deliveries, right? So find good internal partners is step one. Find the most critical projects or the things that you're working on, and then focus on that horizontal view of your business capabilities. And that's really how we start that process.
What industries are we seeing, the kind of the strongest use cases for this sort of approach?
Interestingly, government. So higher ed, government are both really active in services, because when you think about service delivery, typically those services are designed for the citizens. It is the key way that people are going to engage with your organization, with the government, with whatever it is, getting new services or through asking questions and things like that. And so they're really positioned well from a service management perspective. That's probably the biggest area that we're seeing this shift. We also, obviously, financial services has been a leader in these different areas for years too.
Carlene, one of our insights in this space is that, when we focus on designing, orchestrating services, we really have to be focused on value delivery and how we actually get that value out of the service. What does that mean to you, and what are the implications as we go through this process?
It's a great question, because value in a way feels like a buzzword, but it's really the core of everything that you do, right? And so a lot of times we will define what the project outcomes are, or what the budget for things are, but we don't really spend the time to define, how will this change our organization? What's the guiding star for how we want to focus? And so when we think about what value is from end to end in terms of that experience, it really changes the way that we design. And so you think about value layer by layer in terms of what that experience needs to look like, how we build it, how we orchestrate it, and how we continually serve that as well. And so when we're doing that and focusing on not what's valuable to me as the person building it, but to the end customer who is using it, how does it make their lives better? How does it improve their interactions with our organization? That's really where we get differences in services. And that's where services go from something we provide to something that can actually change people's lives.